Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a question that, well, it feels ripped from a sci-fi novel, but trust us, it's rapidly becoming one of the most pressing real-world challenges we face. Can artificial intelligence truly be moral?
It really has moved way beyond the lab, hasn't it? AI is weaving itself into the fabric of everyday life.
Yeah,
Systems driving our cars, assisting surgeons, even influencing financial decisions or giving us advice.
exactly.
And as these systems become more autonomous, more capable, they are inevitably going to encounter complex situations where, purely technical solutions just aren't enough. They'll face moral dilemmas.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about decisions that have direct, tangible impacts on human lives. Think about an autonomous vehicle needing to choose between hitting one obstacle versus another, or maybe a medical robot making recommendations with life or death consequences.
Right.
Current ethical guidelines for AI feel, I don't know, at best, like a basic framework. They don't seem equipped for every moral curveball these advanced systems might face down the road.
And that's precisely the urgency behind this whole concept of AI morality and the drive to design what researchers are calling artificial moral agents, or
Yeah,
AMAs.
yeah, man, it's like
Yeah,
that.
the goal is basically to create AI that's capable of making moral judgments and, crucially, acting in ways that align with our legal and social norms. But that immediately opens up this cascade of incredibly difficult questions.
Oh, I bet. Like, can a machine actually possess morality? I
Yeah.
mean, is morality something you can even quantify or code and formalize for a computer?
And should we even think of AI robots as moral agents in the same way we think about each other? That's a big one.
And this one feels particularly tricky. Can we, or maybe should we, extend empathy towards these machines?
These are profound questions, really. They draw on deep philosophical and scientific roots. And our dive today is guided by the insights from a really fascinating paper by Professor Hyoungbin Park from Seoul National University of Education. The paper meticulously unpacks the myths surrounding AI morality and highlights the immense challenges involved in trying to build something as complex as human moral capacities into machines.
So Professor Park's work really emphasizes that creating an AMA isn't just a matter of, faster processors or better algorithms.
No, not at all.
Moral judgment isn't just about basic cognitive functions like memory or speed or even logic alone. It demands a much higher level of mental ability, integrating incredibly diverse and complex functions that are sort of second nature to us humans, like emotional intelligence, social learning, maybe even some form of consciousness or empathy.
Right. It's a really tangled web drawing on insights from fields spanning moral philosophy, ethics, neurophilosophy, neuroethics, and especially neuroscience. It tells us this isn't just an engineering puzzle. It's fundamentally a philosophical and scientific challenge first.
Okay, so if we're serious about building moral AI, it seems logical that we first need to really deeply understand what human morality is. The paper seems to spend significant time grounding the discussion there, right?
Yeah.
Looking at it through different lenses.
Absolutely. And it highlights just how complex and multifaceted human morality really is. We can look at it from, say, traditional philosophical and psychological viewpoints
Yeah.
through the lens of cognitive development, for instance.
And here you get names like Piaget and Kohlberg who really focused on how our moral reasoning and judgment develop over time.
Exactly. Kohlberg famously proposed those stages of moral reasoning. Pre-conventional, conventional, post-conventional, based on things like adhering to rules, understanding justice, recognizing universal rights. He studied this using hypothetical ethical dilemmas, like that classic Heinz dilemma about stealing medicine.
Right, the Heinz dilemma. But the paper points out, and this feels like a really crucial insight, that Kohlberg's framework has faced criticism, perhaps for leaning towards a more abstract, rule-based view of morality, sometimes seen as more aligned with, well, how men tend to approach these problems historically in those studies.
Yes, exactly. And that's where Carol Gilligan's work provided such a vital counterpoint.
Mhm.
She argued pretty convincingly that there's another equally valid moral orientation often seen, particularly in women in her research, which focuses not just on abstract rules or justice, but on relationships, responsiveness, and care.
Ah, the ethics of care.
She called it the ethics of care, yeah. She studied it using real-life moral conflicts from people's lives, not just hypotheticals. Her work showed that focusing on relational needs and responsibilities is a distinct but equally complex and valid way of navigating moral space compared to a purely rights-based ethics of justice.
So it's not just about applying logical principles, it's also deeply tied to our connections with others, our